If I read you the grades where they went from, say, 20 to 30, or they went from 60 to 50, or they went from 60 to 60, that should not be happening. There should be improvement each and every single day. Now, when you go over these quizzes, when you come home and you do your homework, you need to go over the quizzes before you start your homework. That's job one. What did you do wrong? How do you correct it? How do you straighten it out? Now, the vast majority of you improved. So the vast majority are indeed doing that. But some people are still not quite getting with the program. Performance is not a function of natural talent. Only when you go up against things that are really easy. Performance is a function of preparation. How well do you prepare? And some of you guys have definitely got to step up the preparation part. So I'm recording the lesson in this period because the last period I did it in a different order and it just didn't work. Make sure, if you don't understand the quiz, that you go home and you pop up the YouTube channel. Just watch the first few minutes with the quiz if that's giving you a hard time. And today's lesson, I think, is going to be a little bit challenging, at least in the beginning. At the end, it won't be, but at the beginning, I think that it will be. All right, so we want to graph these two particular lines. And the first line that we're going to graph is 4y is less than or equal to 3x minus 8. And we know we have to divide each of them by 4. And I get y is less than or equal to 3/4 x minus 2. Now, Steve, as I look at your paper, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I know you were absent a few days ago, and we were doing some slope y-intercept there. It almost looks like you're confusing the two, okay? Now, the slope is always whatever's in front of the x. The y-intercept is at the end. So in this case, the slope is 3/4, the y-intercept is -2. And we begin by touching at -2, and then I go up 3 over 4. Up 3 over 4, backside, down 3, 4 this way, down 3, 4 this way. Now, this is a solid line because it's less than or equal to. The or equal to is what makes it solid. Here's my solid line. You have to write the equation, the original equation, on the line so that we know what's what. Lastly, because it's less than, we shade below. Now, we went over the y's with that a few days ago when we went over this. If you still struggle with it, you can ask somebody, or you can go online and watch it again. Next, the second equation, or inequality, was y is greater than -3x plus 1. Is this a broken or a solid line? Broken. CJ, the way you wrote it, it could look both ways, and I'm not going to give you credit if it looks both ways. All right, +1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, backside. And this is a broken line. Write the inequality on it. Now, this is a greater than, so greater than means you're shading above. In both classes, don't ask me why, I don't understand this. In both classes, a few kids screwed up where the S goes. The S stands for the solution set. It's where both shaded areas overlap. That's your solution set. One kid actually put it on the line. I don't know. Okay? And then it asks for a point in the solution set. You pick any point. Somebody picked the same point I did, 10-0. And then to verify it, you just substitute it and make sure it checks in both. Okay? Any questions? We're good? Okay. Now, so that's the second in the series of 3 quizzes. The next thing that we're going to do is tomorrow we'll take the third in a series of 3. Hopefully we clean up the details and not mess up the little things. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what we have going on for the next few days. Now, originally I was going to give you a test next Friday, but I'm moving the test. I'm moving it to Tuesday because everything that's on the test will have been covered by yesterday. So, I don't need to do anything new. We're going to do a new lesson today because if I gave you a pretest today, then I would give you a pretest tomorrow. It would be test Monday. Tests Monday are ugly. So I don't want test Monday. So we're going to do a lesson today. Then we won't come back to this lesson for a few days. We'll do a pre-test Friday, a pre-test Monday, and the test Tuesday. And then we'll continue on with what is a phenomenally important section of the course. All right. Now, part of what's going to be on the test are 2 word problems. And the 2 word problems, one of which will look like this. Okay? So I need you to find some paper somewhere where you can do this question because you don't have this question. Okay? Now, the other thing is I want to change it slightly. Okay? Nolan, you with me here? Reading the first question, it says, the cost of 2 pretzels and a soda is $3.50. I want you to change that to $3.25. The cost of 2 pretzels and the soda is, and write in $3.25. Okay? And then the cost of 5 pretzels and 2 sodas is, make $6.50 turn into $7.75. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to give you a little hint and a little direction to go with this. I'm going to give you about 1.5 minutes to start, and then I'm going to come in and help you out. You're going to use 2 variables. The first variable is going to be P. What do you think P stands for?
Pretzels.
And then use a D for soda. Don't use an S because an S looks like a 5. So it's going to be P and D, and then in the next one, P and D. And you're actually going to get into a problem that uses the elimination method to solve. Okay? Begin. You got about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to get this rocking.
Wait, what's the cost of 5 pretzels and 2 sodas?
$7.25.
$7.75.
Oh, $7.75. I apologize. $7.75 is right. See, I took my glasses off and look what happens.
So,
Hey, does anybody who got 100 on their quiz want to hang their quiz up on the side over there? If you got 100 on your quiz, you want to hang it up, just take 2 thumbtack things over there and hang yours up.
Why?
To decorate the room a little.
I'll hang mine up.
Anybody who got 100 can hang them up.
That's fun. Put mine up just so people can label. I got 100 for good.
wait, where are we putting them?
On the tax right there. You're definitely going to need 2 thumbtacks to hold it straight.
Quinn, where do you want yours?
Put it right next to yours.
Okay.
Anthony's going to be a politician.
For what?
Because he's got the
No, because he goes like this.
That was like the first time I've done that.
No, you do that all the time.
You say
Or
every,
mine.
if I do
All right.
something once.
Wow. Stop fighting like you're married. Get to work. Okay, come on. Another minute, and then I'm going to help you out.
I don't get this. Wait, so P is pretzel and D is soda?
Yes.
Okay, so. Man, how are you supposed to? How do you do ratio?
On that, you don't. There's no need for ratio in this at all.
Why not?
Don't.
But there is a ratio.
Not exactly.
But,
because there's a price too.
alright, we're gonna do it like this then. We're gonna do it like the X and the Y's.
That's exactly how you should be doing it, except with D's and P's.
2P.
God bless you.
Thank you. Okay.
They said you can't add them together.
You solve it exactly the same way we've done the last few days. Okay, so, here's where we go with this, okay? Now, on your test, you're going to have a question very similar to this. So we want to make sure that we're comfortable, so make sure you're paying attention and you follow what's going along. 2 pretzels and a soda is $3.50. So 2 pretzels plus 1 soda is $3.50. What should my next equation look like?
So it's 325.
Yeah.
5p plus 2d
It's
equals
325.
775. 325, I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, now, I need to match up a variable, and at this point, none of the variables match up. So what do you suggest I do to get them to match up? Nolan?
You can subtract them. or add them
But I won't get
together.
rid of,
The common
I need a multiple, common multiple. I need a common multiple, and I think the best way to do this is to multiply the top by -2. See what happens?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, I think you'll see
How
it.
do you get -2?
Watch. What's -2 times 2p?
-4.
-4p. What's -2 times d?
-2D.
Are you seeing it?
2D.
And then -2 times
Oh, I see it.
325 is -650.
I see it.
Here, I just rewrite 5p plus 2d. Now do you see it?
Yeah. The
Ashley,
twos are the same.
now they match. So this is what we did a couple days ago with the multiples. You want to get that same multiple, and you want signs opposite. So I also used a negative.
What if one was like
Well,
3
hold
and
it,
one was
hold it.
4?
Yeah, we could have done the p's. I could multiply the top by a 5 and the bottom by 2. Wouldn't that give me 10 each? And then one of them has to be negative.
So if you multiply one, you have to
subtract.
put all of them in that order.
What's that?
Like say you multiply the top by 5, you have to multiply 5 by.
Yes, everything, otherwise you change the equation. And if you didn't use a negative, you could subtract, but my experience is that more kids make mistakes with subtraction. So using a negative and you can add, it makes life easier, okay? But again, you could get it right using subtraction without the negative. P, die, equals $1.25. So every pretzel costs $1.25,
Oh boy, I messed up.
which is allowed, because tomorrow you'll get more. And in fact, we're gonna do one from last night's homework in a minute. Okay, now the next thing that we're gonna do is use either equation. I'll do the 2p plus d is 325 guy. And a pretzel is $1.25, so $2.25s make 250. Plus d is 325. And I minus the 250.
What?
2 times the cost of a pretzel. A pretzel's $1.25. 2 times $1.25 is 250. So that gives me d is 75 cents. So the cost of a soda is 75 cents, and the cost of a pretzel is $1.25. And then you could just plug it back in and check. What's 2 times $1.25? 2 times $1.25.
250.
250 plus 75.
323.
325. That's what we wanted. 5 times $1.25 is 625, and 2 75s is $1.50. 625 and $1.50 is 775. So now you know that you got the answers right. Marvina.
I did it the same way, but, well, I got the same answer, but I did it differently. Now I'm really confused.
There's 2 different ways to do it, both of which work. One way is to get rid of the p's. You could multiply the top one by 5 and the bottom one by 2. That would work fine.
I got rid of the d's, but I multiplied the top one by 2 and the bottom one by -1.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything, and you just put the negative in the bottom instead of the top. Okay? Yeah, that makes no difference. All right. So, yes.
Never mind, never mind.
All right. So we're done with this one. Now I want you to get out last night's homework, the last question on the last page. Yeah, get it out. Good, we're doing it now.
Man, I probably got it wrong though. Yeah, I got it wrong.
All right, well, I thought I had the homework sheet up. I don't, but we'll read it right off your homework sheet. So, for this particular problem, it says something like the sum of two numbers is, or some.
Find two numbers that the sum of the first and 3 times the second is 5.
All right, stop.
Blah, 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 blah.
There's a first number and a second number, so I'm gonna let them be x and y. X is the first number, y is the second number. So, the reason I wanna make sure we go over this is I don't think I've done enough of it. It's been on your homeworks, but we haven't gone over them too much from your homeworks. So, I wanna make sure we hit them now, and there will be 2 questions like this on your test. So it's extremely important that we go over this now. You'll have some on tonight's homework. You want to work on that as well. And then you'll have it on 2 pretests. So by the time you're done seeing those 4 different opportunities and a total of 8 questions, you should be very ready for the test. Now, Melissa, can you read that first sentence to me again?
Find two numbers such that the sum of the first and 3 times the second is 5.
Stop. Everybody write using x and y. The sum of the first and 3 times the second is 5. Go ahead, do that. The sum of the first and 3 times the second is 5. Now, what's the first one, everybody? X. How do I write 3 times the second?
3x.
3y. Because y is the second. And that sum is 5. Good. Now, let's take a look at the next sentence. What does that say? Robert? Can you say that louder, please?
And the sum of the second and 2 times the first is 8.
With the sum of what?
The sum of the second.
The second and
2 times the first is
2 times the first is 8. Okay. Now, my first instinct, and I suppose yours when you look at this, is to think elimination method. But there's a little bit of a problem with the elimination method. Melissa?
The y's aren't lined up.
Yeah, it's y's in the places x's and so on. How could you rectify that?
Well, when you were writing it, I changed it, to the y.
Right, just switch it. And you could do that because of the community property. So you could write the bottom one, 2x plus y equals 8. And because we had such a problem with the elimination method when they were different, the last class I actually did using substitution. This class I'm going to do using elimination because you struggled on the last one. So let's rewrite the first one as x plus 3y is 5. And then I'm going to rewrite the second as 2x plus y is 8. So all I did was rearrange the order. Now, there's still another lingering problem. What's the lingering problem? Yeah, they don't match up yet. So can somebody, there's 2 ways we can get them to match. There's actually more than 2, but there's 2 logical ways. What's one way that we can get these guys to match up? Anthony? Oh, come on, there's no, CJ, what do we got? I would go -2, okay, because then I get opposite signs.
Just to be
Yeah,
safe.
can everybody see if we multiply the top by -2, I'm gonna get -2x and then the x's are paired? What's the other thing I could multiply by? Nolan?
You could multiply the bottom one by 3.
Negative,
Negative.
right? And then the y's would match up. So let's get rid of the x's. I'm gonna multiply the top one by -2, and that'll give me -2x minus 6y equals -10, and 2x plus y equals 8. Now, if I add them up, I get -5y equals -10, and this is -2. Then I divide by -5, And here's the first piece of lesson for today. With algebra, they don't always work out evenly. This was an actual Common Core question. So if the numbers aren't nice, they're the ones who made it, not me. Y works out to be 0.4. If you just take your calculator and you do -2 divided by -5, you would get 0.4. Great, so now I have Y. What do I do to get X? Melissa?
You plug in y, you plug in 0.4 to one of the equations.
Yeah, either equation, doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna do the bottom one, the bottom original one. 2x plus y equals 8. So 2x plus 0.4 is 8, minus the 0.4. 2x is 7.6, divided by 2. X is 3.8. So I have my x and I have my y. Okay? Are there any questions about this? Any questions at all? Okay. All right, so we should be comfortable now in translating into what we call two-variable word problems. X is the first number, y is the second number, and then we just say x plus 3y is 5, y plus 2y is y plus 2x, I'm sorry, is 8, and then we just solve using the techniques that we did when we didn't put words to it. Now that we've used words, we've got to do a little manipulation first and then go with it. All right, so today's lesson, what are we all about today?
Greatest common factor.
Great, factoring using the greatest common factor. Come on, what are you doing?
My favorite. But they don't have equal signs.
Exactly. This is a little different than everything else. We only have 2 minutes left. Real quick, look, whatever your faith, I happen to be Christian. If you're Christian, great. Can we all agree that Jesus is a nice guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody thinks he's a bad guy. What do you know about the Antichrist?
They don't like Jesus.
Yeah, furthermore, he's a bad guy. Does really bad things. So anti always means what? Opposite. Right? So if you have Jesus is good, then what's the other guy? Bad. So anti always means bad. So when we do factoring, factoring is, look at the second page, anti-distribute. See that? So it's the opposite of distributing. So here's the deal. What this is really saying to you is, what did I have to start with if I distributed to get 5 times n minus 5n minus 20? I needed to start with 5 times n minus 4. And then wouldn't I do 5 times n is 5n, and 5 times -4 is -20?
You're basically
That's it. You're doing it backwards. It's Jeopardy. It's just like Jeopardy. In Jeopardy, they'd say Abraham Lincoln, and you would say, who is the 16th president of the United States? So now, what would this one be?
12 times
12 times g plus 2. Good. What would this one be?
12 times X.
12
No, 12 doesn't go to 28.
Slow
Slow down. What goes in both? 4. Now, what has to go here? 3x plus 7. And then, oh, listen, the way you do it is you just check yourself. What's 4 times 3x?
12x.
And what's 4 times 7? 28. That's all you have to do here every single time. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Garushus. Sayonara. See ya. Have a great day, folks.